right now I'd like you to meet some people. What is your name, please?
Rodney Terence Argent, Hugh Birch Grundy, Paul Ashley Warren Atkinson,
Christopher Taylor White,
Colin Edward Michael Blunstone.
You probably know them better as the Zombies.
Told me about her. What could I do? Well, no one told me about her, though they all knew. But it's too late to say yes, sorry. How would I know? Why should I care? Please don't bother trying to find her. She's not there. don't bother trying to find her. She's not there. Well, let me tell you about the way she looked, the way she had hair, the color of her hair. Her eyes were soft and cool, her eyes were clear and bright, but she's not there. Well, no one told me about her. What could I do? Well, no one told me about her. So they all knew. But it's too late to say you're sorry. How would I know? Why should I care? Please don't bother trying to find her. She's not there. Well, let me tell you about the way she looked, the way she had hair, the color of her hair. Her voice was soft and cool, her eyes were clear and bright, but she's not there. Come on home. My solitude tells me in my bucket and a great big hole in my floor. But if you wanna stay around and love me, you know it's alright with me. I got no money, can't afford no big bank call. My bank account won't see me very far. But if you wanna stay around and love me, you know it's alright with me. I'm sick and tired of being on my own. But you know I'll take no border who's gonna leave me tied and around. And if she should tell you embrace her, and if she tempts you with her charms, tell her no, 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 don't hurt me now, for her love belongs to me. And if she should tell you I love you, and if she tempts you with her charms, tell her no, no, don't live in love from your arms. Don't hurt me now, for her love belongs to me. I know she's the kind of girl who throw my love away, but I still love her
Maybe she's not there, but they're here, and they're the zombies!
Well, no one told me about her, the way she lied. Well, no one told me about her, how many people cried. But it's too late to say you're sorry. How would I know? Why should I care? Please don't bother trying to find her. She's not there. Well, let me tell you about the way she looked, the way she had hair, the color of her hair. Her voice was soft and cool, her eyes were clear and bright, but she's not there. Well, no one told me about her. What could I do? Well, no one told me about her, though they all knew. But it's too late to say you're sorry. How would I know? Why should I care? Please don't bother trying to find her. She's not there. Well, let me tell you about the way she looked, the way she acted, the color of her hair. Her voice was soft and cool, her eyes were clear and bright, but she's not there. But it's too late to say you're sorry. How would I know? Why should I care? Please don't bother trying to find her. She's not there. Well, let me tell you about the way she looked, the way she acted, the color of her hair. Her voice was soft and cool, her eyes were clear and bright, but she's not there.
Otto Preminger presents Bunny Leg is missing. What suspense? Lawrence Olivier is immense.
I just want to find one simple proof that Bunny Lake exists.
Come on time. Oh, yeah. We want to go on record as saying
You're sure to have a ball.
Carol Linley is keen as a knife. Kid Delay'll give you the time of your life. Come on time. Come on time for the show. The clock'll tell you when to go. While the show's on, can you get in? No! Come on time! Please come on time.
3 feet high, is wearing...
When I'm thinking back, I won't forget you. And if I should change my mind.
Ever been in a pub before?
No.
Well, here it is. The heart of merry old England. Complete with dirty glasses, watery beer, drafts under the doors, and 23-inch television. Have you been out much since you arrived?
Stephen was looking forward to showing me the sights, but Bunny had that cold.
But surely you could have found someone to babysit for you.
Stephen felt so too, but I didn't. She was in a strange house, in a strange country. A strange babysitter might have been too much.
You and your brother are pretty close, aren't you?
All of our lives.
I've been meaning to ask you. Did anyone try to stop you having a baby?
You mean an abortion? Stephen offered to arrange one for me if I wanted it. I suppose it seemed the most practical thing to do. But I decided against it.
What about the father?
My father.
Bunny's father.
He was just a boy I went to school with. Or sometimes to a movie or a dance. He wasn't really very important to me.
How did he take the news of Bunny's impending arrival?
He came to the house, and he offered to marry me. Stephen threw him out.
And that somewhat dampened his ardor.
No, he was still willing. I was the one who said no.
Why?
I wasn't in love with him. Stephen said I'd already made one mistake. Why complicate it with a second?
Your brother sounds like a sensible young man. Eat something, won't you? Yes. 2 brandy and soda, please.
Try to remember how we used to be. Come on, back to me. Just out of reach. Don't stand back, and you will see just how easy it can be. But you stand content to leave.
That's better.
I'm not very good at drinking on an empty stomach.
Did you ever have an imaginary friend when you were a child, Miss Lake?
Did Stephen tell you that?
In a way. What sort of a friend was it?
A little girl.
Well, no one told me about her, the way she lied.
So do you think you'll get up on stage and play together? We have actually rehearsed She's Not There, but it was 30 years ago.
Some of the guys haven't played literally since 1967. And so it's going to be a bit challenging for them.
I'm up for it, you know, it's up to the others, and so we'll see what happens. It'll be a lot of fun.
For the first time together in the same room for 28 years, they haven't even rehearsed. The Zombies, the original lineup of the Zombies, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, no one told me about her.
The reason the Zombies got together was because we had a huge enthusiasm. We all liked the same music that was around at the same time. That was why we did it, and it's that comes over.
These guys have been sort of left behind when really they deserve to be up there with, like, you know, the best of them, the Kinks and the Yardbirds and Small Faces and the Hollies, all the, you know, the really great, strong British pop acts, you know.
We only ever had one hit record in this country, and even that didn't make the top 10. She's Not There it peaked actually at number 9 in a midweek chart, but on the proper charts, number 11 was the highest it ever got. I think Tell Her No made 30 or something, and apart from that, that was it in this country, which is to me why it's so nice that after all this time, in this country there's so much interest.
When the band finished, I felt that there was a total disinterest in the band, and that's one of the reasons that we finished. So if at this late date we can put a different perspective on what we did, I'd be very pleased.
What do you think of this box set being put together? Were you happy to hear it was happening?
It's great to see it in this final finished state as well, I have to say.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to opening it and reading it and finding out about myself.
There really wasn't another band that sounded like us at that time. And it's all about timing. I mean, I've learned that in the music business since then. It's about the right sound and the right song and the right time. And I think She's Not There at that time with that sound was, you know, perfectly timed, because it was unlike any other of the English British invasion bands that were coming to America. And in fact, I think we were one of the earliest bands to actually achieve #1 record in America.
People forget that we were the second English group to get a #1 in America after the Beatles. And that seems to have been forgotten. And we did ride on that English wave in America, and they took us to their hearts. Where over here we were just working the circuits, you know.
Well, let me tell you about the way she looked, the way she acted, the color of her hair.
But even then in the States it started to go downhill. I mean, we had sort of tickles and we had top 40 hits, but we didn't have another top 5 hit until Time of the Season, which was our last record, which was #1.
It's the time of the season.
Could you perhaps summarise what you think made the Zombies so special?
The core of the Zombies was the songwriting. We had 2 very strong writers in the band, and I think that's what made them special. I think Rod always had more of a vision of what he wanted and what he wanted from us. And I think he was always in a slightly different league as a musician to us. That's my honest opinion. And so sometimes he would tell us how he felt things should go. The annoying thing was he was always right.
Tell it to me slowly, tell you why I really want to know.
I really had to persuade him to sing Time of the Season. I mean, there was one, you know, funny session at the end there. So the last thing we recorded on Odyssey and Oracle, and he was singing it, and I must have been pretty tiresome actually at the time, because I always used to say to Colin, "No, can you sing? No, the melody, it's got that note. It's just you know, a bit earlier than that, just a bit before the beat. And he'd had enough, you know, and he said to me, look, if you're so bloody good, you sing it. I said, no, come on, Colin, no, I want you to sing it. And in the end he did, and I think he's very pleased that he did. I think in the end, if you do something that does stand up, you know, sometimes it does come through eventually.
And the thing was, they were so different. You know, nowadays, a lot of music is very reflective. I mean, you get a lot of records that are next to each other in the charts, and they don't sound a lot dissimilar. But the Zombies at the time were like nothing else around.
Well, no one told me about her. What could I do? Well, no one told me about her. Well, they all knew. But it's too late to say you're sorry. How would I know? Why should I care? Please don't bother trying to find her. She's not there. Well, let me tell you about the way she looked, the way she acted, the color of her hair. Her voice was soft and cool, her eyes were clear and bright. But she's not there.
Well, this is St Etheldreda's Church Hall in Hatfield, and this is the very, very first place that we rehearsed as the Zombies. Colin and I both lived in Hatfield, and this is why we use this place right from the word go to do our very, very first rehearsals.
Quite an unusual place for rock and roll.
It is, isn't it? But I think the building was probably inspirational to us at the time, if you think about it. This was the very, very early days, but of course leading up to the style and the influence that would eventually lead us on to She Is Not There, which was rehearsed in Rod's front room.
She's not there. Well, let me tell you about the way she looked, the way she acted, the color of her hair. Her voice was soft and cool, her eyes were clear and bright, but she's not there.
This is the old Verulamium's rugby club in St Albans, where we very first started to play back in 1962 to 63. Singing of some of our best gigs, I reckon.
What did it look like then?
Very similar to today. It hasn't changed a great deal. Just as cold. Those days were wonderful days, so much so that in the end they had to put a marquee on the side of the club here to accommodate all the people that would come. And the walls would be awash with sweat and the floor with beer. It was wonderful times.
I mean, the basic chords at the beginning are... into an air. That was quite an unusual change. Sometimes in covers, people miss that. This F. Into the major. And then that chord, different root notes. Jazz. And then to the major key.
just up the final section, really. Just the one note section. There's the major. That's the bones of it, really.
Well, right now, we're in the Watford Town Hall, and in 1962 or so was where the Heartsbeat competition was held, and we were fortunate enough to win. And the prize, lucky enough, was a recording session with Decca, and it was from that recording session that we recorded She's Not There, and I suppose this is really where it all started. It was packed solid. We had 2 coach loads of fans from St Albans, especially came over to cheer us on, which they did.
The Zombies.
Through my family's connections, we'd met a producer, Ken Jones, who recorded it. And we'd won the contest at Watford Town Hall. And Ken said, well, you'd be a good idea to write some material. And Rod sat down and wrote She's Not There with a few ideas that had been hanging around. And I wrote some stuff as well.
With the sort of arrogance of youth, you know, I thought, yeah, you know, I can write a song that's as good as the Beatles and everything, and I didn't see any of the pitfalls, you know. I thought, we're going to the studio, we'll record it, it'll sound fantastic, Colin will sing it great, you know, it'll all sound great, and it'll come out and it'll be a hit, and it was, which was extraordinary, really, but it didn't surprise me at the time.
It was in Decca's studios in West Hampstead, which doesn't exist anymore, but it's just down the road from its more famous partner, Abbey Road. It's literally 2 miles away. The engineer, who was a very good engineer, had had a very heavy lunch, and he was very drunk. But luckily, the engineer collapsed and was literally carried out, 1 person on each leg and another person on each arm, and he was carried out. And the assistant engineer took over, who was Gus Dudgeon, who went on to be one of the most famous producers of all time.
And so they just chucked him in a cab and sent him home, and I was sitting on the back, and it was one of those classic moments where the producer, well, went Gus, it's going to have to be you. And I was going, who, me? Yep, you better take over. So that's effectively what happened.
What's it called? Nobody told me. They didn't. Nobody told me. Take 1.
That's the engineer. And the dubbed on snare beat's not there either. Interesting hearing people playing together at the same time, actually, in the studio.
Great song, very unusual chord progressions. They were doing strange things with chords, and everybody was going for like much more straight-ahead chords progressions, you know. It also had an element of jazz in it, which was a bit of a dangerous thing to do in those days. I mean, it could almost have blown them off course by having those kind of jazzy progressions. I mean, I remember thinking, will people get this? You know, does this fit? Will he get on the radio? I mean, that was the big concern, was would he get on the radio? And then if he got on the radio, would people actually think, what a peculiar record? And because it just didn't fit in with anything else around at the time.
I mean, it all happened very quickly. It got a lot of media attention. One of the things that really pushed it, we had a program here called Jukebox Jury, and it was at a time when the Beatles were just so successful. And George Harrison was on the panel, and he gave it a very good plug. And that more, I think that it would be a hit if George Harrison said it was good. It would almost certainly be a hit, so that was good.
I think it was generally worldwide hits. I only can remember the clear chart positions in England and America, but we were too busy working to keep an eye on things then.
I can remember being in the recording studio in West Hampstead, Decca Recording Studios, when we were told that She's Not There had gone to #1 in America. And yes, I can remember the excitement and the euphoria then, that day.
The timing was just so fantastically lucky. I mean, in America, the Beatles had just crashed, you know, the doors open, crashed the doors of America for English artists, really. And there we were, right behind. And I mean, I remember being over there and phoning home. And my mother said, "You've just been on the 9 o'clock news." And I said, "Really? Why?" "You're the first English band since the Beatles to get a #1 in America with something you've written yourself."
Right there, thank you very much. Okay. Oh no.
Sorry, how did you get?
And here the original snare that I used on She's Not There back in the 60s where we recorded at Decca. I like to think that I provided the unusual drum beat at the beginning and the middle of the song, and I think it added to the song and made it very distinctive at the time, something nobody else was doing.
Well, no one told me about her. What could I do? Well, no one told me about her. Though they all knew. But it's too late to say you're sorry.
Their image was a little weird. I mean, first of all, they looked pretty straight. I mean, they used to always wear black. What am I talking about? I'm wearing black and white. They used to wear all black and white stuff, right? But they had these guys with these big horn-rimmed glasses, which wasn't really very cool. You know, you were supposed to sort of, you weren't supposed to have horn-rimmed glasses in a beat group, so that was kind of weird anyway. And they looked. Well, you've only got to look at the old photographs. I mean, they were a bit strange looking and a bit straight.
I think we suffered in this country from our first press release. And it was, I remember sitting, you know, in the Decca offices, and the press officer said, "Okay, we've got to find an angle for this, you know. Now, what can we say?" He said, "Oh," and he picked up on the fact that we just left school and we got a lot of O-levels. And he said, "Well, yeah, that's unusual." He said, "Okay, I'll put that in the press release." And it was pathetic. Manfred Mann was around at the time. They'd all been to university. Mick Jagger was a student at the, you know, London School of Economics. I mean, it was no big deal, but for some reason they picked this up.
And unfortunately, that's your first impression on the press tends to stick with you. It follows you around. And I think people a lot of people kind of resented that. They sort of thought, well, what's that got to do with anything? And I think it was a little unfortunate. And coupled with that, two of the guys in the band wore really thick spectacles. Later on, Paul Atkinson, our guitarist, wore contacts. And he's a really good-looking guy. And I think if we could have started off, forget the school exams, and perhaps with Paul not in spectacles, so we didn't look like professors, I think it would have, image-wise, would have been a lot better.
In fact, I remember the show where Con was singing at the front, way out in front of everybody else, and they had all these terrible sort of dancing girls doing all this stuff around him, all this sort of awful stuff. And I remember thinking, they look like Atkins, surrounded by dolly birds.
What is the downside of having a big #1 hit? Well, when your second record isn't so big, and when the third one doesn't happen at all, then you find out a few home truths about yourself. You find out what you're made of. You know, I think you have to take success when and where it happens and be grateful that you get it. But if you could choose it, I think it's best that it doesn't happen too quickly, because you need to learn a few things about the business and about travelling and how to look after yourself. And that only comes with time. And I wish She's Not There had been our fourth or fifth single, because we kept things going a bit longer in America, but in the UK, we were on the slippery slopes quite quickly. And say a year after She's Not There, we were struggling. And so that can be quite difficult, because very quickly you're yesterday's news.
Every track we went in to do after that, we always felt excited about. It's only the focus of other people's attention and liking it which makes it magic. It's subsequently become magic because it is a legendary thing, and then Santana did it later, and several other people.
Which was very difficult. I really had to concentrate, because I know the other version backwards, and the Santana version is quite different. And I thought if I relax for 1 second, I'll go into the wrong routine. And I was playing with an orchestra. So if it was with the band, they would follow me. If I made a mistake, they would follow me. With an orchestra, they've got their heads down and they're reading the dots, they're reading the music. So if I made a mistake, they wouldn't follow me, they would play the music. Financially after She's Not There?
My financial position personally was very good. There was a period we were ripped off from a management point of view. I think there were people making huge amounts of money from us that we didn't get, which particularly affected the other members in the band, because that was their source of income, was the live side of things. And to play in the Philippines to up to 45,000 people a night for a 10-night residency and earn £80 between us a night, you know, there's something pretty wrong going on there.
We haven't been served any writs. Luckily, because it was set up right through friends, the stuff belongs to us via the people who originally had the companies. We trust the people we work with. The only place we fell down on was management. In those days, they thought it was their job to sort of make as much money out of us as possible. And there are several things. We reckon we lost about £1 million. Because travelling in America, I think the most we made was £500 each for 6 weeks' work. Having hits in the charts as well.
And so the writers had done well. But as a live act, we hadn't earned any money. And so the other three, the non-writers, were, you know, broke, to put it in a word. You know, was very up against it financially, which is a shame after 3 years of very hard work. None of us had any money. And if we'd had a bit of money, possibly the Zombies could have kept going. I mean, it was one of the factors in why the Zombies ended.
But as to why they didn't carry on, I don't know. I mean, I loved a lot of the songs they put out. That band were probably one of the most unusual bands around at the time, and maybe that's what got them noticed at the time, but maybe they were just a bit too off the wall to continue it past that point.
Well, no one told me about how many people cried, but it's too late to say you're sorry. How would I know? Why should I care? Please don't bother trying to find her. She's not there. Well, let me tell you about the way she looked, the way she had hair, the color of her hair. Her voice was soft and cool, her eyes were clear and bright, but she's not there.
I think that's enough of that one.
Well, no one told me.
What is it you do now?
I still produce. There's a new band called Seafruit that I'm going to be working with, who I found in Dublin a couple of years ago.
I'm very fortunate to run a very nice pub in a little village called Aston near Stevenage, with a lot of very nice customers.
I've mostly been producing with a colleague of mine. We produced the first 2 Tanita Tikaram albums, and last year we had a hit with a new South American artist called Soraya.
Write, produce, working on a musical at the moment with Arlene Phillips. We knew Arlene back in 30 years ago in the Zombies time as well.
Well, I'm a solo performer. I write songs, I record them, and now I'm back up playing live again.
It's the time of the season when love runs high. In this time, give it to me easy, and let me try with pleasured hands to take you in the sun to promised lands, to show you everyone. It's the time of the season for love. What's your name? Who's your daddy? Is he rich like me? Has he take us anytime to show you what you need to live? Tell it to me slowly. Tell you what I really want to know. It's the time of the season for loving. What's your name? What's your name? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? He is rich like me.